Alex Lyon has joined us here on Sabres Live. It's great to see you. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Very good.
He was wearing the black and red gear this morning, breaking it in. So,
yeah.
How did that? Do you like changing gears like that, or do you like one set and stick with one?
I like new gear. I've got, the older you get, the more gear you get, so you get used to it.
Wow. It was the opposite for me. It was like, now you know what? You're too old. You just keep the same gear.
No, I like it. I like the pop that it gives. I've been wearing all white for like 5 years, so for me, I just like that. I like the feel of it. I like the way that it looks. But this is like my first venture off the beaten path, So I'm sweating through my shirt right now just thinking about it. But
it's black and a little red in it, Duffer, so you know. So it's the dark gear. So
yeah.
Yes.
And it's a goalie thing, I don't know if maybe you were you were a goalie.
He catches the wrong way, though.
The right way.
So you understand what I'm saying, like,
yeah.
Like that, just like mentally, you gotta like wrap your head around it.
100%.
So that's why I had to
even
bust out
seeing
today.
the puck around your feet and whatever. It's different when you have a darker gear compared to the white gear. The look, I used to always put the gear on and look in the mirror. How does it look?
To.
Do you do that too?
You have to. Well, so early in my career, I loved color. Like when I was at Yale, I loved doing blue and white. My first few years, I was like mixing it up, and then I switched to all white. And like 6-7 people, like my goalie coach, would come up and be like, "Oh my God, you must have put in so much work this summer. Like you're an NHL goalie now.
You look bigger.
You look way bigger and like boxier." And so, as somebody who's 6 feet tall, like I like to think that I present bigger than 6 feet tall when I'm in the net.
This is Marty every day.
That's me.
He talks about it all the time, about presentation.
My gosh.
Yeah,
you're like, I worked my butt off all summer, and you're like, I didn't do anything different, but it seems the gear works. So
right. No, I think it is true, though. I mean, like you even... Sorry, I don't know if this is the path we want to go down, but...
Oh, it is. Totally.
Any path is a good path today. We started the show with puppies, just so you know.
That's
just
perfect.
Positive.
That's right up my alley. No, but like you watched Shesterkin the other night, and it's like you would never... This guy, he's probably 6'1", and he presents so big, just like the way that he plays, and so I try to emulate that, and I think, sometimes you see really big guys, and they just don't, like, feel big. They don't play big, so I always try to think about that.
Well, what do you see in a guy like Saros?
I actually think that he presents a little smaller, and I've only known this through secondhand, but from what I understand, he's a physical like freak, and he's so strong, and you can tell by the way that he plays, like with such low hips, that he's got just incredible lower body strength, and that's just something that I was not necessarily blessed with. So I do try to like take a lot from him just because of his size, but I think like a lot of NHL goalies, he's kind of an anomaly to a little bit. Yeah,
there is the freaks out there, and Shesterkin is one of them. And for a few years, it was Vasilevsky who can do things like catch behind his back, and you're like, how did he do that, right? And Saros is one of them too. Now, let me go back to, you mentioned Yale, your time at Yale. Like, what was that like, the decision to go there? Because, the people would say, oh, you go to Yale, you go to Harvard, you go to Brown. It must be a smart guy or whatever, but at the same time, not saying you're not, you're a smart guy, you present well, but that's a big statement to say I'm going to go play hockey at Yale and have to do with the studies and everything.
Right. I mean, it's both ends where it's like I wasn't a highly recruited enough player to be. I'm from Minnesota. I watched the Gophers every Friday and Saturday night. Keith Ballard, I don't know if you guys remember him.
He got drafted here.
Right here.
Yeah, that's right.
And then he was shipped to Colorado, right? Is that the trade? Or
maybe Arizona?
Arizona, you're right,
Florida.
Arizona, yeah.
But I love the Gophers. I love North Dakota. I love Wisconsin, Denver. But that just wasn't in the cards for me. And so my parents both were like academics all the way. That's going to carry you through, which now I'm so appreciative of that, But for me, it was the best of both worlds. They were getting pretty good at hockey, and obviously the academic side was good. And then I got there and I realized that I could only read at like a 10th grade reading level, and so I started focusing on hockey, and here I am today.
Did you major in anything?
It was political science.
Yep.
I don't have my degree. I have like 6 credits left. I actually have to be on campus to write my thesis paper, which is a big hurdle for me, but My dad went to Yale. My grandpa went to Yale. So there's a bit of a history and a lineage there. But so it's a huge priority in my life to get my college degree. But at the same time, like, you just keep playing. You sign in college, and then you're like, okay, let's see where this goes. Keep playing, keep making money, make better money, and then you just end up 10 years later, you're still kicking.
You mentioned you were reading at a 10th grade level. Is that are you making a joke
No,
out of it?
that was sarcasm.
That was sarcasm. Like, you got there and you realized, like, oh my gosh, these people are
Yes.
smart.
Yeah, I think, going to Yale, like, you do it just made me very humble at, like, my overall intelligence, and, like, I think that I'm a fairly, like you said, like, I can present really well.
Yeah.
Comes from my parents. We did academics so hard growing up, but then you get there and you're like, oh my God, like, I'm just nowhere near these people. I mean, and the people that go there are the people that are like, I want to strive to help solve world hunger, and, like, so, and I'm like, I'm just trying to, like, survive day to day.
There's a piece of vulcanized rubber that's being shot at me by, like, 90 miles an hour, and I stand in front of it. That's what I do.
Exactly, and it just puts so many things in perspective. And I think one of the best things that happened to me at Yale was, it was just like, all right, I'm really not the smartest guy in the room. When you're 18 years old, everybody thinks that, right? Like, everybody thinks they're the smartest person in the room. But I think that was a very humbling experience for me, and I still think about that a lot, where it's just like, just take it down a notch.
What was hockey like in Minnesota? And I'm asking because my son and I went to a summer camp for the Fargo Force out there. And I thought I knew youth hockey because he was playing 16U AAA with the Junior Sabres, and then, I knew the teams around, and Chicago Mission and Little Caesars, and I got to that camp and I knew nobody on the ice. They were all Minnesota. And I'm like, there's a whole other world of hockey that I have no idea. So what was that like for you, that different world that doesn't seem to exist anywhere else?
Yeah, well, just to give some context to what you're saying, like, Minnesota high school, you go to the high school, you play for your high school team. I graduated from my high school. I played all 4 years there. And so you don't, like, sign up for a travel team. You don't, like, pay money to play. it's a very organic experience. And it's a really interesting conversation, actually, because I think it's the last place that's like that.
Yeah.
But it's also, I think, diminishing to some degree, just given all of the opportunities that are out there. Mm-hmm. Parents, in 2025, there's so many parents who are so meticulous and detailed with their children's sports that they're like, we need to get them in the best place right now. And I mean, one of the best things for me, and you guys probably see this with your children, but I played baseball, I played football, and I just loved life. And then when it wasn't until I was like a junior where I was like, okay, I need to start taking this more seriously. But it's nothing sadder to me in the world. And again, I'm sure you guys have seen this when you go to a hockey school and you see a 9-year-old kid who doesn't want to be out there, but his parents really want him to be out there. And it's just like, I chose hockey because I loved it, and I skated every day, and I got free ice every day. Like, that's another great thing about Minnesota is I would drive my snowmobile to the rink every day and spend 8 hours there.
At what age did you start driving the snowmobile?
11, 12,
yeah.
And that was just the culture. I didn't know any different, but it's that organic love for the game. And I think, being around NHL players, like, every NHL player has that love for the game, and you just can't force that on kids.
So was the gear at the rink, or did you have to tow it with
on
the
snowmobile?
That
strap in the sled.
For sure. My parents bought me like a big double-seater. How some of them have the second seat in the back, because they were like, it's way too dangerous. We're not going to get him a nice. So, yeah, I had I would always carry my gear around. We would go, but that's just how it was,
right.
That's how, I'm sure it's probably like that in some ways around here as well.
For sure.
Smaller towns.
Yeah, smaller towns here, Southern Ontario.
I saw Jay
Ontario,
McKee. I saw Jay McKee rushing to practice here at this building on a snowmobile when we had a snowstorm, and it was before everybody had cell phones, or we had cell phones, but there was no text, and so some guys tried to make it downtown. I tried to make it downtown, and all of a sudden I was on Elmwood or something, and Jay McKee is on his snowmobile trying to get to practice, and then realizing that the practice was canceled when we got here. But yes, like, I've seen professional athletes, right? There's snowmobile to the rink, so yes.
Yeah, it's just, and I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Growing up in a snowy climate, that's just my parents owned an ice fishing resort my whole life, so like that was just my life, and I'm really glad I had that experience, not get overloaded with things.
So, when did goaltending start? Like, we started this off by talking about equipment. What was the first piece of goalie gear that you got?
Yeah, well, like a lot of goalies, I spent, hours of my life on the goalie gear customizers. Loved the gear, was obsessed with the gear. I think that's probably what gets most guys in the door. Mm-hmm. And then you just realize like I just understand how to stop the puck, and I didn't have a goalie coach until I was like 18, 19. And again, one of those things where it was like, that's the best thing that ever happened to me, because I just learned how to keep the puck out of the net. I didn't learn how to play an ultra technical game. And now as I get further into my career, I actually go back to that more and more, where it's like, if you just keep the puck out of the net and try to win the game and try to be competitive, like that's the way. That's really the way.
Did you pay attention to like the history of goaltending, and like who was your favorite goalie when you grew up?
I loved Hasek. I know that's going to be a little bit of low-hanging fruit, but Patrick Waugh, those were the guys. Broder, you were in there. You were always around.
I was a field guy, but
it's a big list.
It's a big list. I'm like at the bottom, and the reason I'm asking because we got a poll at Sabres Live on X right now, and it's other than Hasek and Miller, who were your favorite Sabres goalie? It's between me, Don Edwards, Tom Barrasso, or others. So I'm going to ask you, like, I voted for Don Edwards, just so you know. But, now that you kind of are here and you understand maybe the history of the Sabres or whatever, who would you say was, other than Hasek and Miller?
I loved Barrasso, no offense. But
he's leading. He's the leader, almost 60%.
I loved his gear. Loved his gear. And it was just like, I felt like it was just like beat up all the time, kind of, and like it's like this guy stopped a million pucks. But I loved those guys. Like I loved Arturs Urbe because this guy would change his gear once like every 4 years, But it's like I don't know. I just love that like grindy mentality, and I think goalie in 2025 is like everybody. You have so many kids like wearing custom gear now. And it's like, how about we just get out there and stop the puck? I love that mentality.
Jamie Storr used to be one that would hang on to the gear and just tweak it and fix it. And just the way you described it, I'm just envisioning what his pads, Barrasso's like. You just see like the curves, that are all like beaten down, and you're just like, this is amazing.
Yeah. And now, even like he had the bigger like Aeroflex for a little bit in Pittsburgh when in the early 90s they won the cup, right? Yeah. But when he went butterfly, they didn't flip to the side. They were 45-degree angle, and the inside was a lot thinner because that's where his knees would always like land. So it kind of smashed the inside.
That crease right
on
there.
On that crease, it always land on there. But it was. And now, obviously, the pads are made to flip. They're cut out of foam that are, like, cut to measure. They're not stuffed, right? So it's a big difference. So
all right. So what kind of gear are you wearing?
Well, so I was with Vaughn. I was in Vaughn for, like, 8 years, and this year I just went into True. And actually it was largely – I don't know if you guys know Adam Burkle, but he was with Vaughn forever. And I just had a really good relationship with him. He recently went to True. And I'm more of a I would rather Vaughn guys treated me so well. I love Scotty, but I'm a loyalty guy at the end of the day, and like I couldn't not be with Berkey. He understands me. I'm the kind of guy that's like I don't care about my gear at all. I want to be comfortable, and I don't want to think about it one time.
That was a bit of a equipment. Well, I won't use a word that I may not be able to use on radio, but I had everything. I started with Coho and CCM, and then I had iTech and Vaughn and Bauer, and I had everything. But that's a big change. Vaughn to True, that's a completely different pad. I think Vaughn is obviously they've updated, but it's a little bit more old style, a little softer.
Yeah.
And you have the Hazardous. Is that what you have?
Yeah.
Like that's a stiff. Straight face pad.
I actually really beefed up my Vaughns to get much stiffer. But at the end of the day, as a smaller guy, I'm always trying to find ways to, like we talked about at the beginning, present bigger.
Yeah.
And Vaughn was so good for me because I could like contort them in the way that I wanted. But I do find that Vaughn is coming a little bit more to true,
soften it up a little bit.
The E-flex especially, the hazardous is a little different, but it's interesting to see how and now Bauer's kind of like gone in their own direction a little bit. So it's interesting to see how they all coalesce over time.
It's amazing. It's just when you like it from the start, like you never lose the love for all this kind of stuff. Thank you for the insight. Hope you'll come back and join us throughout the season.
Yeah, we got more to talk about. Ice fishing resort.
Yes,
That's,
we really want to get
next
into that,
thing.
but we know you got to go.
Anytime. Thank you guys very much.